And we are back, or if we're on YouTube, we're back from the black screen between takes. So, Animated Jay, why don't you go ahead and remind us one more time what the roundtable discussion is?
The topic is the future of gloving movement. Where is it going?
Where is gloving movement going? Okay, and we had some great light shows today to set some examples for that. Jest, Trump, who wants to start?
Yeah,
Jess,
I'm gonna let Josh go for a second.
You were chomping at the bit a second ago, so go ahead, man.
So there's two ways we can take this question, right? First of all, gloving technique or gloving technology.
We got 15 minutes, man, so we can.
So I can go off. Thank you. Good. Let me just preface this a little bit. Gloving technique has come a long way, and it did not start with gloving, right? Thousands of years of history of how fingers moved can be found if you know where to look, and if you know where to look, you're here, so you know where to look.
You can also look in Josh's book, which is at YouGotMoves.com/handbook, by the way, if you guys want.
I wasn't gonna say it, but I actually was gonna say it. So
I got you, buddy. No problem.
Anyways, the point is there's so much history of gloving technique, and over the past 8 years that I've been watching, I've watched the meta shift from more and more wild flail patterns to more and more digital technique, like actual dexterity tricks, dexterity concepts. From clocking to clusters, basically, in the last few years. Clusters are a huge meta right now, and anyone's light show you watch that is going to be competing, you're going to see that microgrid and that isolation style technique. It's just super prevalent. Where is that gonna lead? What does that leave, right? So at this point, there's a lot of room for creating concepts out of the connect the dots style clusters, but there's a lot of room for connecting shapes that you don't think would be clusters to create clusters. So what I mean by this is, perfect example is what I call the pluster. There is a flat 2D surface that you can imagine, right? When you create when you think about your microgrid, this X, right? There this plus sign that you think about when you think about a grid, and you can create that with your hand just by doing your standard tutting angle with the 3 fingers down, and then with one more digit of the middle finger, or the ring finger, I should say, digited down. And that creates, if we're still thinking in the cluster mentality, that creates that these three that create the line, and these 3 that create the vertical line, the horizontal line, vertical line. Which means that we can then visualize our microgrid. So this right here just sets up so much to be done with the combination of a 2D imagined surface in negative space in combination with whatever the hell you want to do with hand independence. So there's a lot to do. There's still more math to do. There will never not be math to do. So that's the beauty of the technique side. Now let's go to the technology side for a second, because everyone's like, well, what's left? Everyone's going back to bulbs now, right? So why do we bother with technology? Well, the beauty is motion capture is a thing. Motion capture is about to be a huge thing, because virtual reality technology in gaming is about to pop off. So we as movement artists have a foundational responsibility to take our knowledge in our whatever it is, in our movement, in our arms and our bodies and our legs, and pioneer that aspect into the virtual space.
We must venture forth into the digital landscape with movement art and
into the digital
all
unknown. Yes.
That's dope.
And there's so much possibility to get VR tracking or motion tracking gloves, motion tracking arms, or whatever, a motion tracking full body suit if you're into the full body dancing. and creating. It's already out there. It's been out there. It's been out there for years and years and years, but now it's actually becoming consumer accessible. Right, exactly. So
Got it.
I know
So,
I'm getting motion tracking gloves soon, so that's all there is
wow,
to it.
the future, the
Trump,
future.
Trump, as someone who hasn't been gloving quite for 8 years yet, actually, how long? A year, 4.5? No, yeah, 4, right? Yeah. So you had, and you know, Josh has been here for 8 years, and I've been here, 12.5. So I mean, we've all seen a lot of differences. So talk to me about, I mean, 4 years ago, there was still quite a lot of resources available in gloving. Like having all that available, was that overwhelming coming in, or was it like, oh man, I have all this stuff in front of me, I don't even have to think to get started? I mean, were you somewhere in between? Where were you at?
I mean, I remember before Josh knew who I was, and I was at, I think, my first meetup ever. Josh had the Amazing Light Spectras before anybody else. They were not being sold yet, and he brought them to this meetup, and everybody was just mind blown
Sorry,
by
Amazing,
them.
if that burns Josh out a little bit, but
I was supposed to do it. That's what I was supposed to do.
So
What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Fire me? I fucking wrote a book. They're not gonna fire me.
anyways, I thought they were really cool. Damn it.
sorry.
No, you're fine. No, it was really easy for me to get started, I think. I mean, we had Spectras just coming out. Clusters were just becoming a thing. So I more or less got to learn clusters along with the community as a whole. I came in exactly the perfect time to kind of like, everybody's already learning that, and I kind of just hopped in and tried to keep up and everything. So coming in 20 at the very end of 2016, I think it was really accessible. I had years and years worth of YouTube videos to go through, all through, the amazing website, and through, I think I watched like Havoc's impact tutorials like in 2016. Lots of
Flo's
stuff on
giant
YouTube
1,000 light
already.
show playlist.
I actually didn't get into that until like 2017, but yeah, it was there. There's tons and tons of stuff that's there that was definitely not there, and accessible to you guys when you started. So I think it's only getting easier because now we have You Got Moves putting in huge work for everybody, as far as making
Shameless
content super accessible, and even more stuff on YouTube. I know TNT Freeze or Cold Pause is doing high quality YouTube videos right now.
He's making great stuff.
Yeah. So with between GL and even I've seen even Reddit become more active in the last year or so as far as gloving goes.
You'd also mentioned
And
Twitter too.
yeah, Twitter's huge. I get a lot of views. It makes me feel okay about myself. Getting a lot of views on Twitter, it's a lot easier. And
You
Hey,
hear
I
that,
feel
guys?
more
If
than
you
okay
don't,
about.
if you don't feel good about yourself, just get views on Twitter.
yep,
That's how to do it.
That's the
how you do
secret.
it.
That's the
That's all you gotta
tutorial.
do.
YouGotMoves.com/Twitter.
Search for social media validation. You heard it here first.
Yeah, Twitter. You will get it. Probably the easiest on Twitter.
Well, I think
But
the
no,
fact that
it's
Twitter has the fire hose thing where it's like it's just all the content, when they're in chronological order, boom, 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 which is good. In some
there's a lot less
aspects,
algorithm to play to.
exactly. Yeah, you're not hoping that somebody likes it. It's like, all right, if you follow somebody, you're gonna see their stuff. Period.
Yeah. Ultimately, if you want the validation, though, learn the algorithms. That's going to be across the board the best move.
Just know that just know the validation comes from an algorithm and not from the actual people behind it.
Pretty much.
Get yourself validated.
It's so accurate. It
I love
hurts.
the technology. I love because I know this topic started off with the movement, and then we branched into all the technology as well, and how things
And
are
resources.
changing. Resources,
Yeah.
how things are evolving in multiple dimensions of gloving in general. I want to kind of go back to the movement aspect. I know, Just, you were mentioning about clusters and how clusters as a technique, there's so much untapped potential. There's so many possibilities. Now, I know you also mentioned clocking before that. was clusters inspired from clocking, or are they two separate things that were developed?
Completely separate topics actually. I just mentioned it because clocking and clusters, in my mind, hold two um, era meta shifts, if you will.
Mm.
They follow the same pattern of
Exactly.
of their entrance to the meta and their
Their
rise to
impact,
normalcy.
their arrival and their impact is what really
Pun
basically what
intended.
red and blue. I wish I had red and blue lighting right now. That would have been too good.
Hey, Lust, we
Anyways,
love you.
Yeah, the impact, the arrival and the impact that clusters and clocking had on the meta are basically the only two things that those things share in common. The other thing that maybe they share in common is some clusters can be done with a platform, and that's one of the aspects of clocking that makes up clocking is a platform and a face. If I'm understanding clocking correctly, so you have a face or a platform and a face that does the action, and one causes the other. If I'm remembering my Mez tutorials properly.
It sounds like that sounds like an accurate definition.
And then whereas clusters, it's a matter of you have your two-dimensional plane that you're trying to conform these points to so that they create what I call connect the dot illusions in that space, in that negative space.
Got it. Now, because I'm always looking at what's like the next thing. Is there any way to predict what the next thing could be? We have clocking, clusters, crabs. I don't know. What's the next thing gonna be called?
It's definitely going to be a C.
before
It's
that, too.
definitely that's if patterns are real, if Fibonacci got his sequence correct, then the next thing is definitely going to be another C. So maybe it's cream coral
Cheesecake.
scions. I don't know what it is. I mean that does make sense, but everyone's going back to bulbs. Like I don't know how to predict this. All I know is I got lucky basically being in the core group of pioneers of clusters. Like I will take credit for coining the phrase clusters because frankly 9-point microgrid point isolations is way too fucking much to say. So clusters kind of just make sense because what are you doing with your fingers? You're squishing them together and you're making clusters, right? So, it's a matter of what's catchy. How do you catch lightning in a bottle? How do you go viral? I mean, you can answer those questions, but it's a matter of research.
Side note, I miss festivals.
Yeah, true. Lightning in a bottle. Now I'm sad.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, like I said, it's a matter of how do you plan to go viral? It's a matter of careful planning, a lot of research and development, and then a whole lot of luck. So
I think it also has to do with a combination of a simple foundation that creates an eye-catching
yes,
end result.
Yes, something new that people something new yet familiar.
Yeah, like
here's how both clusters and clocking fit that description, because right as Mez went pop viral in the gloving community, who was on top of the scene? The answer is Puppet.
I wasn't around.
The answer is Puppet. Puppet was on top of the scene. He just got sponsored by Amazing. He was putting out videos that were just everyone was watching him. All of a sudden, Puppet 2.0 comes out with Puppet 2.0 style that actually has a video with a clock face in front of it.
We're totally catching flack for that, and I'm down for it. I'm here for it.
Goes viral. It's fine. I love Mez. He loves me. It's fine. We're cool. Hit him with a yeah, sure. He'll be fine.
I miss a yeah, sure. I miss Mez, by the way.
But then clusters did the same thing. Basically. It was what was popular in the scene. Digits and dials. And then all of a sudden you put as many dials together as possible. It's familiar yet it's new. And that's how it happened. So
new ways to do the same things.
Exactly.
That is fascinating.
Clusters are boneless dials.
Jay, do you have now that you've heard this kind of pattern description of clusters and also clocking and dials, are there any concepts or ideas within dance or within any of the types of dance that you've studied that follow a similar shall we say, rise and plateau, or rise and fall?
I would say the thing that comes to my mind is animation, like in the dance world, like in the popping community. Like animation was around, but was very rare, and only a handful of people like really knew it. And then it's getting more popular because everyone's kind of, in my opinion, getting tired of the same thing, so they want something different. So now people are diving more into animation and really exploring these characters and just really getting deeper into the style of animation. So
For
something I would,
anybody, I'm
yeah.
sorry, real quick. For anybody that's that has cartoons or Bugs Bunny in their head, when you say animation, can you just give everybody like a brief description of like of things things that stand out about the movement of animation or the movement within dance of animation?
Right. Okay. So this is just, again, I'm gonna share
Yeah,
my
super crude, like 2 sentence explanation. I know
so,
this is gonna be
okay, this is my interpret. This is how I look at animation. Animation is moving in frames as a character. So if you watch a stop motion film, it goes ta 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 ta. You know, if you break it down, you watch the Sinbad, you watch Gumby, any of those old school films where it's like they're riggedy. You're moving like that, and you're messing with your speeds, and you have a character. That's how I would explain animation.
okay. Sorry, continue then. You were saying, so you said just so animation in general. So that idea and that focus on timing of movement, I guess, is what.
The timing, it's like all about the timing of the movement, and just messing with that timing is animation with the character to me. Now relating it back to what we're talking about clocking and clusters and how things are getting, what's the next thing? I don't know if there's a new name in like animation that's coming up. I would just say that people are just diving deeper into their characters. So that's what I would say.
So people are just refining and like learning specific details. But okay, cool.
Totally.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Well, this has been an amazing roundtable and an amazing 4 light shows for the first part of Group A. So I think we're gonna close it out here for the day. But check back with us here on Friday, and we'll be back here with the second group of matches, and we'll be back with another amazing roundtable. Jay, Jest, Trump, thanks again.
Of course.
Anytime, Teddy.